everyone. Here's the fifth installment I have into this video series on Python incrementing dictionary values. The premise is still the same. Basically, you're putting in a string of values and you're parsing it and you're adding it to a dictionary. This is The example is basically using exception handling, the try and except, and you're doing the key error here. So basically, this is actually handling the key error and what to do with it. Specifically, what it's doing is this basically adding the key that's not in the dictionary into the dictionary. So if you go and look at the code here, you got, it's looking for apples, and apples happens to be one of the items in the dictionary. And it's going to increment that value. So right now it has the value of 0, and so it went up to 1. Again, run the code again. Now, if you run it, and now obviously there's 2 apples in the dictionary, because if you look at the main list here, these are, apples here and apples here. So I didn't pick up every one of them. So there's obviously, if your intent is just to pick up the first one, this would be great code. But the point that I'm pointing out here is the except and the try. It's actually handling the key error. So if the key is not in there, it will add it to it. So let's just say apple, and we'll run the apple, and as you see, there's apples and then apple, and it increments the value. Now, going back to the main item here, going through the entire list and adding the entire list into the dictionary using a for loop key, and you're doing the whole list of values, which happens to be I like bananas and apples and bananas and apples. And so when it goes through that list, there's 1 like, 1 I, 2 bananas, 3 ands, and 2 apples. And that's pretty much basically the same code, but you're just putting it in a loop. Now to go over the other code, how this works, for those that want to see. Obviously I start off with a string text, class string, and if you notice, it has a bunch of characters that I don't want in there, so I wanted to extract them out. So I basically created an array for punctuation and I put all the items I want out into the array, and then I put them through a for loop, and I use the replace function and replace the character with an empty string, and I convert it to lower, so everything will be lowercase, and so hence I like bananas and apples and bananas and whatever. Now this is like the first step. So, but now I need to create my list. So I use the split function to create the list, and this removes and this is the beginning of putting it into, first step of moving into dictionary. So I separated all the items. I like bananas and apples and bananas and apples. Now this is the full list that I want to be indexed and counted. So I have a separate variable for that. But, and then the next step, convert everything into a set. And the whole idea here is to start removing the duplicates from the items. And I put it in a thing called dictionary because it's supposed to, at the end of the day, it's going to be a dictionary. So here, this is a set like bananas and apples, and all the has unique values, and that's something that I'm going to have to create. So and the step right after that is going to take this and move it into the dictionary. But if you know, dictionaries require key and value. These are just the keys. But what I'm going to do with the value is they're going to be counters of how many instances that it finds this in each one of these words into the text. And that's going to be the value. Now I'm going to initialize the list, and that's the next step. So the next step will be initializing it, the dictionary. So it's basically going to convert it into a dictionary from the keys, and then obviously you need a value here, and then I'm wanting to make the default value 0 here, and I'm passing in an empty string because it requires you to have a string as a character, this function. And so it doesn't matter what, I mean, I could use faux list or firm text, whatever. It just, you need to occupy with something. It's just going to initialize the dictionary to 0 for you. So you can run it through it again, and that's pretty much what's being done here. So you see, like, all these are initialized to 0. So here's where the dictionary is created. And then when it finally runs, I just ran through that earlier for you. And that's pretty much the ending of this instance of how to add values to a dictionary. Thank you. Have a nice day.